guys up top are helping us out. There you go.
So, to start, by show of hands, how many of you feel lonely? It didn't take many. But 1,300 Dubliners over the age of 65 were asked that question, and 35% of them admitted they did feel lonely. And 9% of those went on to describe it as painful. Now, how many of you are going to visit an elderly relative next week? Because I know I am. Unfortunately, studies have shown that visits from children and grandchildren won't necessarily decrease feelings of loneliness. That's not good enough. These people need to interact with friends, to socialize, to get out of the house.
In 1961, there were 315,000 OAPs recorded in Ireland. So in just 50 years, the 2011 census told us that there was a 70% increase to 535,000 OAPs in Ireland. So just to reiterate, that's a 70% increase in just 50 years. Now in 2041, it's projected that there'll be an 162% increase to 1.4 million OAPs in Ireland. They will make up 22% of Ireland's population. Infrastructure needs to be put in place, or their generation could be left behind. The population shift is staring us right in the face. Now, we all know someone older than ourselves. For example, my granddad is here today. Hi, Terry, how are you? He got in today using the Dart, which is only a 5-minute walk from his house. Luckily, he's fit and healthy, so he could have walked 10 times that. But for example, where I live 20 minutes uphill walk from the nearest public transport. So imagine someone, and I'm sure we all can, with crutches, a Zimmer frame, for example, or someone who can't even get up their own stairs and need to use an electronic lift. And that's before we even start talking about people with wheelchairs.
Exactly. You may have heard this story in the news last year. Louise was a young woman who got stranded on a train because she uses a wheelchair. And this is the ramp that Irish Rail uses on the left there. And it is fully portable, which is a terrible thing in this case. It means someone has to be waiting at the station with it at the right carriage when the wheelchair user gets on and off. And no such person appeared for Louise. So she was stuck on a train as it parked for the night and the lights went off. She tried the emergency exit button, which didn't work. She tried to open the doors herself and couldn't. The only way she actually got out was by tweeting about her experience, and someone gave her the number of someone at Houston who could help. But just imagine if this was someone a bit older, someone who didn't have a smartphone, couldn't contact for help. God knows what could have happened. We don't know many old people who can tweet, do we? That's Donald Trump. No, it's not. Now this ramp on the right is much better. It's not portable. It's automatic. This is Dublin Bus's ramp they use to this day. And this is great. If you're strong enough to push yourself up a 16-degree angle and you feel comfortable in the limited spacing for just one wheelchair user per bus, then this is surely a step in the right direction. It's just that a step in the right direction isn't quite good enough when we're talking about wheelchair access, is it? Now, these problems with mobility and, of course, old age is in all of our futures. But there's something else in our futures that might be able to help with mobility, and that is self-driving cars. The autonomous age is almost among us. There's already been 2 million miles self-driven in testing. These high-tech sensors allow cars to just know their surroundings and react accordingly. We want a world where losing your driving license due to old age doesn't mean losing your independence along with it. We want to bring the autonomous age to the over 65s.
We thought we'd tackle the issue of OAP loneliness and loss of independence. So we designed an autonomous bus solely dedicated to OAPs and those with mobility issues. And we thought to ourselves, okay, so we've got an autonomous bus now. What does that mean? What can we now do that a normal bus couldn't do? So we had to think, okay, so do we need a driver? Definitely not. And in that case, why does the door have to be at the front? Could we have sliding doors in the middle? Yeah, absolutely. Will we need a front windscreen? Possibly not. Might be nice to look out, but it's not necessary. So we had to rethink everything we already knew about the bus. So I've designed a little thing here for you, very simple. It's a driver at the front, engine at the back, and that's how a typical bus works today. Connecting them is a thing called a drive shaft. So all the steering and all the pedal movements get translated to the engine. Basically, if we have an autonomous vehicle, we don't need a driver, so we can cancel them out of the equation. In the similar fashion, we can also get rid of the drive shaft because there's no one to translate these movements to. In this case, we can now do something that has not been done before, and this is called messing around with the floor of a bus. Because usually that's a very taboo area. The drive shaft gets in the way, and if you don't have a drive shaft, it suddenly opens a lot of doors to us. So we've designed here a lift system. And to get on the Dublin bus or DART on their lift systems, it's a 16-degree angle, and it's not always possible for someone to get up that. But with our system that we've designed, you can simply wheel on or wheel off, or step on or step off. We designed the interior with sociability in mind, bearing in mind that some of these OAPs might not have talked to someone their own age in days. Inward-facing seats give a comfortable, homely feel that's conducive to social interaction. So I can probably hear some of you thinking, well, they can now get onto the bus and they can talk to people on the bus and socialise, but how do they get to the bus? What about that potential 20-minute uphill walk? So I designed an app, and I can see all around the room people looking skeptical. How is an OAP going to use an app? I know people who are OAPs who can't use apps, and I'm sure you all do too. But the OAPs of tomorrow will be able to use apps. And for those who can't, their doctor can set up a schedule for them to be picked up and brought to the doctor's surgery if they want, or their loved ones can set up social appointments.
So those were the ideas, but we kind of had to prove it. Could we get it to work? Could we put it together? So we used computer-aided design software to create as a design in the virtual world, and then we used rapid prototyping, 3D printing, to bring it into the real world, and we assembled. These ultrasonic sensors were used for the prototype to be able to see its surroundings. They send out sound waves which bounce off obstacles, and the vehicle can sense it and then react accordingly. That's a technology taken from bats, of course, as you know, which makes our design a sort of Batmobile, I like to say. We integrated all this sensing and this steering and the motor, as well as our automatic wheelchair lift, together in an electric circuit, and we developed code to control the vehicle as it senses something, to steer out of the way or to stop. But we just needed to test this once it was all together. So we came together with our colleagues scattered around this room with their autonomous vehicles as well. And we did a little friendly competition, like who would win in sharp bends or in drag races or in obstacle courses, maybe ramps. It's quite a long day, but we won the autonomous obstacle course, which, let's be fair guys, that's the most important one, right? Yeah. We also have proof in this nice video, so let's see that.
makes me whole. Dancing is what to do. Dancing's what I think of you. Dancing's what lifts my soul. Dancing's what makes me whole. Dancing is what to do. Dancing's what I think of you. Dancing's what lifts my soul. Dancing's what makes me whole. Get up on the floor, dancing on the low. Get up on the floor, dancing to the break of dawn. Get up on the floor, dancing to the break of dawn. Get up on the floor.
So, to recap, we have an automatic wheelchair lift, a door-to-door service, and a user-friendly app.
That's an automatic wheelchair lift, a door-to-door service, and a user-friendly app.
Bringing them together, we get ArBus, enabling mobility.
As you saw from our video, we had a lot of attention and stuff when we were going through Front Square. We've constantly had people messaging and commenting on our social media site, which has gathered over 500 followers in just 2 weeks. People are asking us questions like, is this going to come into reality? How much is it going to cost? Is it going to be government funded? Will it be in my country? And I think this shows the kind of interest that people have and the niche that it has in the market. With the rising population, it's undoubted that this will become a necessity in today's life. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome up our team for a big round of applause. Thank you all for listening.
So congratulations guys, it was a good presentation. So I'll move to our judges. They said beforehand they like really tricky questions, they don't mind how hard it is and they're willing to answer anything. So did one of our judges have a question on this project?
That was brilliant, guys. Really enjoyed it. Lovely concept. So, is the design or the concept geared specifically towards OIP people?
OIP people and people with mobility issues, so
Okay.
wheelchairs, for example.
My question is then more so for the OIP users. If it's kind of geared at OIP users that are kind of beyond the point where they can drive themselves, or
Yeah.
you know their health is kind of degraded, is there any kind of idea to have care system on board, or if you're putting a large group of kind of elderly people that might need medical attention or different things like that, is there anything to kind of address?
Yeah, that is definitely like a big talking point among us, because once we don't have a driver who's trained to be a bus driver, we can have someone who's trained to be something else, like a carer.
Okay.
There's enough space for that, so
Brilliant.
it's definitely a way to do it. Yeah.
Good question.
Cool.
Can I follow over?
Yeah, go for it.
So the idea of the bus is that it's a service for old age pensioners and disabled people. How in the marketing of ArBus do you not make it segregating and othering to customers? How are you not the person who's queuing up for this special bus to go into town?
Well, ideally, we'd have enough of them that there wouldn't be a queue. It would be government funded and could possibly operate at a loss because current OAPs use the public services for free. So they've got that budget to work with, and possibly a little bit more if it's going to be such a benefit to society. That's our aim anyway.
So I think by end there we're trying to keep it moving quickly so we talk to different projects. So if you have team questions, keep them. Come to the studios after all the presentations are finished and talk to the guys. They'll show you it working the prototype and going on. So maybe just thank the guys again, ArBus team. So the next team up are Towbot, who've been looking at logistics in airports. Look at us.